Hey everyone, in this video I want to explain how you can connect your hardware to Sunday Guitar. First off, to connect your guitar, all you need is a modern audio interface that has 1/4-inch inputs, so an instrument cable input. You only need one. And then ideally you'd have at least 2 1/4-inch outputs, balanced outputs. And this is how you would send your signal to your soundboard. So you would run either 1 or 2 1/4-inch instrument cables out of this, and I recommend running them out into a pair of direct boxes, and then out of those direct boxes it would be XLR mic cable to your soundboard or to the Snake if you're on stage. Alternatively, you can use headphones if you're at home. You can use the headphone jack as your output source, or a lot of audio interfaces allow you to connect to studio monitors or to plug headphones in directly. One thing to note is you want to make sure that you set the gain of your audio interface correctly so that the input gain is not too high or too low. You want a nice strong signal going into Sunday Guitar, but you don't want it to be so loud that it's clipping when it first comes in. So you're just going to connect your audio interface to your computer over a USB cable or a FireWire cable, depending on the interface. And every interface is a little bit different, so check the user manual for the specific interface that you have if you have any questions. So you're just going to plug your guitar in there. And then when you open up Sunday Guitar, either concert file, either the live concert file or the looper concert file, you're going to go up here to Main Stage 3, click there and choose Preferences and go to Audio Preferences. This is where you choose your audio input and your audio output. So I have a Big Knob Studio audio interface connected, so that's set as my audio input, and then it's also set as my audio output because it's setting it to my studio monitors. But if you had a different audio interface connected, or if you wanted to use the headphone jack, you would just choose it from here. So if I wanted to use the headphone jack, I would choose built-in output as my audio output. One other thing I'll show you really quickly in audio preferences. If you click advanced settings here, this is where you can choose your buffer setting and your latency settings. Latency is a delay measured in milliseconds between what you play physically and what you hear. And so more latency equals lower CPU usage, lower computer strain, but you also feel some sluggishness or less responsiveness from your rig. So the balance to find between not pushing your computer too hard and it's still feeling like you're connected to your gear is really important. I generally start with a sample rate, buffer size of 128. You can go up higher if you feel like your computer is being pushed too hard. If you go any lower than this, then you're going to start to really push most computers too hard. So I recommend 128 as your starting point, and you can always go up if you need to. Keep in mind that the threshold of noticeability for the average human is between 5 and 10 milliseconds of latency. So you can see right here I have 14 milliseconds round trip latency, but only 8 milliseconds on output. So it's pretty manageable for me here. So if you make any changes here, just hit OK to save those changes, and then you'll be all set. After you've set your audio input, just note that by default, Sunday Guitar is listening for input 1 for all of the patches. But if your interface has multiple inputs, then you could decide to plug into input 2, whatever, that would be fine. To change the input of the patches, you just go to any patch, and up here on the input section, you're going to click on it. Oh, and if you don't see the input section, then control click or right click on the channel strip area and just click to make sure that this little check mark next to input instrument is highlighted so that you can see the input section. So you want to go ahead and click on that, and you'll see input 1 right here. If I went down here, I could change this to input 2 because my interface has 2 inputs, but that would only change it for this one patch. Let's do it all at once, huh? So you're going to go down to change all and select input 2. And that would change every patch's input that's listening to input 1. It would change them all to input 2. So that can save you a little bit of time. And again, I just want to emphasize not pushing too much gain into Sunday Guitar. When you have your instrument plugged in and you start to adjust the gain, you can see the gain that's hitting any of the channel strips by going to any patch and looking at this little indicator right here, this in green. If it starts to really max out, you see a bunch of yellow and orange, then you might want to reduce the gain on your audio interface a little bit. Or if you're not seeing any green or yellow at all, and things are really quiet, you're going to want to boost that gain up, because you don't want too quiet of a signal. Otherwise, you're going to have to turn everything up, and you're going to introduce a lot of unnecessary noise into your signal. The next thing I want to talk about is how you can connect a MIDI controller to Sunday Guitar. So by default, Sunday Guitar is pre-assigned to the iRig Blue Board, which is pretty easy to use. The Blue Board has an app that they have on the iRig website to control this and set it up. It's a really, really bad app. So what we've done is skip all that, and you just turn the Blue Board on in raw MIDI mode. To do this, it's called Mode C. So when you have your Blue Board, hold down the C button here, and then turn it on, and you'll see how that light goes blue. And that's it. Now it's in Mode C. This is just raw MIDI mode. So now it's just going to be sending raw MIDI over Bluetooth. And when you see that blue light flashing, that lets you know you're not connected to anything yet. At this time, also, if you have an expression pedal, you would plug that into expression jack 1. And then if you wanted to use the 5th button that you can assign on the looper concert, it's to undo. And on the live concert, it's not assigned to anything. You can assign it to whatever you want. And then you plug that into expression 2. So the expression pedal goes into expression 1. And then if you want to use a 5th foot switch for extra control, that goes into expression 2. So you plug those two things in, and that blue light lets you know you're not connected yet. So now we have to connect to it on the Mac. So you're going to turn Bluetooth on first and foremost. Then you want to go down here. I have this on my toolbar. It's called Audio MIDI Setup, but you might not have it there, so just go to Spotlight here in the top right corner, search for Audio MIDI Setup. Give that a click. And it's going to open up, and oftentimes this throws people off. It opens up, and you don't see anything. Notice up here in the top left-hand corner, it says Audio MIDI Setup. It's just not displaying anything by default. So you need to click on Window, and we want to click Show MIDI Studio. And this is the MIDI Studio right here. It shows you any MIDI hardware that is detected as connected. For us, we want to go to Bluetooth. So then we go here and click on Bluetooth, and we see all the Bluetooth devices that Audio MIDI Setup is recognizing. And we see the iRig Blue Board, so you just click Connect. And this light will go blue, solid blue on the Blue Board, and that lets you know that you are connected. I like to leave Audio MIDI Setup open in the background, just in case I would ever have any issues. So you can hide it there, just click away. If you ever needed to go back, you would just click on it again from your toolbar and it'd pop right up. I've never had the Blue Board disconnect during a live performance for me, but just in case, I think it's a good idea to kind of leave it open in the background. Okay, so that's how the Blue Board is connected. I really quickly want to show you how you could assign one of the Blue Board controls to do whatever you wanted. By default, each of the 2 concerts has some assignments already made, but you might want to change something. So I'll show you how to do that really quick. Let's say that you wanted to set foot switch 5, which is this sustain pedal for me. Whatever foot switch you want to connect will work. And you wanted to be able to assign that to favorite switch 5 right here. So all you would do is go to Layout Mode with your hardware connected, press the Assign button after selecting favorite switch 5, and then depress the control that you want to use it with a couple of times. And I see here that I have these backwards. I apologize. I have my expression pedal incorrectly inserted there. They were backwards. I noticed because the expression pedal started moving when I started pressing my sustain, which is the opposite of what I want. So I'm going to assign this again. So you've got favorite switch 5 selected in the Assign button, and then you're going to press this button right here. Press your sustain pedal down or whatever pedal you're using, and you'll see that it starts to move. Now I'm using the looper concert here, and you'll see that this button here in the looper section is also moving. That's because it was already assigned to here. So if I didn't want it to control the undo function anymore, and I want it to be favorite switch 5 instead, then I would highlight the button I want to remove the assignment from, and then under Channel, click Unassigned. Now when I press my sustain pedal, it's just going to move this 1. Now, because this is a sustain pedal, it's sending continuous data, so 0 through 127, I just want it to be an on-off. So I'm going to go here to Type, and I'm going to change it to Press Release. And that's going to give me the functionality that I want. So if you wanted to modify the concert in this way, you would just make your modifications after saving a master copy, and then you would save the new concert with a different name so that you would have this as a reference, but you could always go back to the original if you needed to as well. Now we're going to talk about how to use TouchOSC. I'll show you how to set this up. So in your download, there is a TouchOSC template included, and you need to have downloaded the free TouchOSC editor onto your computer, as well as the TouchOSC Bridge app. And we have a link to both of those in the README file that came with your Sunday Guitar download. So check out that README file and download the TouchOSC editor and the TouchOSC Bridge app. Now, first we're going to open up the TouchOSC editor app, and you want to have Wi-Fi on and Bluetooth on, and you want to be on the same network as your smart device. We're going to choose Open, and then we're going to navigate to the download folder, and you want to open up this .touchOSC file, and whatever the most recent version of Sunday Guitar is. So if it's 1.1, 1.2, just open the most recent version on .touchOSC. So hit Open, and it's going to load up like that. Now the only reason we need the editor app is because we're going to sync this layout file over to the smart device that's also running the TouchOSC app. So you want to hit Sync here. And when you do, it's going to take a second, and then you're going to have this Layout Sync dialog open up. So on your smart device, you want to open up the TouchOSC app, which you can download in the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on your device. And then you want to go here to Layouts, and you want to go to Add. When you go to Add, you'll see your host pop up automatically. Now, make sure that you're connected to the same Wi-Fi network, and they have Bluetooth on as well. And then you're going to see the host here. So you would just click on that, and it's going to automatically bring the layout file over. So you just select that layout. So there's a check mark next to it. And then when you hit Done, you're going to have this layout available to you right there. If you're having trouble getting connected, go to TouchOSC Bridge. Make sure that Bridge is enabled, that you have your network IP address showing here, and also that you have Allow USB connection turned on if you're connecting over USB. Okay, so that's all you need to do on your phone to transfer over the layout. Now there's one more step that you need to get MIDI data sent from your smart device to be picked up by MainStage. So I'm going to close out the editor app here because we don't need that anymore. The other app I mentioned, TouchOSC Bridge, always needs to be open whenever you want to use TouchOSC with MainStage. So go to Spotlight here and search for TouchOSC, and make sure it's Bridge, not Editor. Go ahead and double click on that to open it up. Now, when you open up TouchOSC Bridge, nothing happens visually other than this little B up on your top bar there. That lets you know TouchOSC Bridge is running. So then when you're connected to the same Wi-Fi network over USB, then you'll be able to control the tonic section or the 5 favorite switches from your smart device via TouchOSC. So that's how to connect your guitar through your audio interface, how to connect to the iRig Blue Board over Bluetooth, and then also how to connect the TouchOSC app. Now, if you have other MIDI hardware that you want to connect, it's super easy to do that. Really quickly, I'll demonstrate. Let's say that I wanted to, just as an example, this principle holds true no matter what you're trying to assign, whether it's a button, a knob, anything like that. There's just one step. You highlight the control, you press Assign, and then you move the physical hardware. So I'm moving the physical knob on my Nano Control 2, and then you can see that it's moving on screen. So when you're done assigning, just depress that, and then anytime I move that knob on my Nano Control, it's going to move the knob on screen. So this would be the same for a button. If I wanted to be able to toggle the delay on or off, I would just highlight the button in layout mode, hit Assign, and then press the physical control that I want to control this. So whether it's a foot switch at your feet, if it's from Behringer or Line 6 or the Blue Board, or it's something that you're going to control with your hands, this is how you would assign that hardware however you wanted. So if you wanted to use the 5 foot switches of the Blue Board, the 4 plus the 5th and the Expression, and just assign them to the 5 favorite switches, you could totally do that. You would just highlight one at a time, press Assign, and then push the physical buttons to assign them one at a time. And that will be all there is to it. So that's a little bit of how you can connect hardware to Sunday Guitar.